If you like gory practical effects work, you will probably really enjoy some aspects of Terrifier. I say that since that is the primary feature this movie has to offer, as it does it very well. I think it's been said before somewhere that slasher movies often exist to showcase the violence, specifically the creativity of the kills. That means that many slashers aren't exactly scary horror films, just a spectacle for creativity of the practical effects. That's not to say that slasher movies are all made like this and completely devoid of actual horror, but many seem to lean that direction based on what I've watched. Terrifier is unapologetic in what it's trying to do. It is a special effects extravaganza of gore. That's certainly the main thing that it has going for it, but there are other things it does well, at least enough to keep the main display going. In that sense, I found the film to be kind of an odd contradiction that makes it one of the most unique slasher films I've ever seen. Remember a moment ago when I said that most slasher movies exist mostly as a showcase for the kills? Well, this movie exemplifies that idea more so than pretty much any other slasher movie I've seen. What I mean to say by that is, the movie is diluted down to that pure idea, for better and for worse in some ways. The movie does have characters, which are defined enough and portrayed with enough competency, just enough to make them relatable and likable. Most slasher movies spend more time with their characters than this one, and yet they are often less defined and even less likable. Yet this movie does enough, just enough, to make us want them to stay alive. It's kind of amazing writing in a way, in that it holds off on many basic things most stories have. These are characters with personality traits, kind of like the characters in Alien or The Thing. However, unlike in those films, none of the characters in the movie are established well enough to have an actual arc of any kind. There's no starting point and eventual growth, because they are set up just enough to be killed. I feel like the creators know what they're doing, and certainly could flesh things out more. They are just choosing to focus on their passion, which would be the villain and the kills. Does that make the movie brilliant, or short of being brilliant? Well, a bit of both maybe. The filmmakers hold back in other ways too. There is good cinematography and sets, with plenty of grimy details and shadowy hallways. Most movies would have the villain or monster partially concealed at points in the shadows, making use of extreme close-ups, partial reveals, or POVs. I typically find these techniques, often evident of lower budgets, actually more scary, as what we don't see often adds to the fright. Not this one though. Here Art the Clown is in full display, which makes some sense on Halloween night, and he is creepy looking. But he would be creepier if he wasn't fully revealed so early and so well lit most of the time. Once again though, this seems to be a deliberate choice to make the movie unique, which it once again is. Even though the gore effects are some of the best I've seen, they are still fake looking, which I kind of appreciate. Despite this though, I actually found myself looking away a couple times, due to the really effective use of sound design and a few moments of restraint where the camera doesn't reveal too much. This is particularly true of one of the biggest kills of the whole movie. The soundtrack is good too, reminding me of John Carpenter. As effective as the kills are, and some genuinely creepy moments due to the admittedly horrific situation, it did start to feel tedious after a while and honestly started to sicken me a bit. Even though the movie is pretty short, by the time the second exterminator guy arrived, I kinda wanted it to be over. I think people who love gore effects more than me will enjoy the film, but perhaps I have my limits, at least when there isn't enough plot, character growth, or themes to break up the kills. It is very unique, but I think I'll stick with my atmospheric art house horror.